So I'm a fan of functional art. So yeah, I've done camp tables, which has been fun. And what I've done is I went to Facebook Marketplace and I, bought a few trays. This one's got a little dish that goes with it. And this one here, it's a mess because I sanded it. So now that I've sanded them all, I'm going to get them prepped for painting. So what that entails is I'm going to tape off all the parts that I do not want anything on, and then I'm going to do a layer of I'm going to put some kills on it so that the wood will not warp when all the wet paint goes on. I'm having trouble talking today. Anyway, so now I'm going to tape it up. Let's tape them up. One down, two to go. So with this one, I've left the top at the top because I want the paint on the top part, and I've taped up all of this so that I don't get any paint on it, because fluid art can be quite messy and I don't want to ruin the wood. Well, actually I wouldn't ruin it. I would end up having to sand it and oil it, and yeah, just more work than I wanted to do. Anyway, so that's one. So this serving platter, I envision doing it in oranges and fall colors because it would go really, would look really nice with the wood. So I've got Arteza Pouring's Brilliant Red, Pebio's Dark Cadmium Yellow Hue, can't talk, Amsterdam's Vermilion, Amsterdam Nickel Titanium Yellow. This is a custom mix that I did. It's buff titanium with titanium white, so it makes it a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to put in some Pearl Deep Brown, because you always need that nice dark contrast. But we're going to start with the red because I like the red to be a good base. Ugh. So I have to get up along the edges here. So this is going to use a lot of paint because I'm going to lose a lot when it goes off the pour. Okay. Bit of a mess here. Ugh. I like when I started pouring just all of that way and getting it off. It created a better design on it. And I like that I added the gold as a last minute thing. That I'll bring the camera down and you can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is looking a lot more red in the camera than it actually is. But you can see that this part here and how it goes up, I'm really liking that. It's a little muddy at the end, not as much definition, but it's very, very subtle. You can see very subtle nuances in it. And yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna look forward to seeing it when it's got its varnish on. So a couple of days ago, I poured this tray and scraped it because of the scooped sides. The paint wasn't staying on the edges, and the design that I had created just all pulled back, and yeah, it was not looking nice. So I scraped it all off and wiped it down, and this is what we're left with. So I've decided to try a different technique. It's more brushing, no blowing. It's a technique I've used on larger canvases. I've never done it on something this small, so I've got smaller brushes. I have a 2.5, a 2-inch, and a 1-inch, and we'll see how it turns out. So for this technique, I have some paints here. They're a little bit thicker consistency than, say, a Dutch pour. And I'm just going to lay some out here. I'm going to do this in greens and some bronze, maybe a touch of gold. I have a Grumbacher Hooker's Green. These are Arteza. These two colors are, actually no, I guess one is an Arteza. This is an Arteza olive pearl, and this is a golden green-gray. There's the bronze. And I'll save the gold. So I like doing this technique. It's very zen. I'm going to let this dry for a bit, because what happens if you don't let it dry kind of in between, then you're just going to create a painting that's just pretty much all the same color. So we'll let this sit for a bit. Now this is somewhat dry. See in here the paint was a little bit thicker, so it's kind of pooling down again with those scoop sides. I do have to get all of this orange covered to some degree, so I'm just going to get that green in there. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating layers of paint so that it kind of looks like you're looking through, I don't know, like a cornfield or something. You know, you've got light and you've got dark and you've got some shimmer, and okay, not a cornfield, but you know, just so that there is some depth and movement within the painting itself. Okay, so with multiple layers of greens and the bronze on this, I think it's done. I'm quite happy with it. So this is what it looks like, you know, inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it outside, and you'll be able to see the shimmer, and it looks different when it's outside. It looks, oh, it's very pretty. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the sunlight. You can see all the shimmer, and you see the definition between the light and the dark. And it is so pretty. This is dry, by the way. There's a few spots here where I put the brush stroke through a clump of paint, and so it kind of took the paint away. But when this has got a coat of resin on it, you're not going to even really see that. But oh, it looks so pretty. It always looks nice when you bring it out into the sunlight. You see all of the lovely shimmer.